Think led to the moral and the educational decline with the Black and African communities?
I think whenever we talk about moral behavior, and this is a message I like to put forth to our religious leaders because they like to deal with everything from a moral standpoint. One of the fallacies with that is if people are not getting their basic needs met, morality is irrelevant. For example, people talk about how back in the 30s and the 40s, coming out of Reconstruction, just before the Civil Rights Movement, towards the end of the rise of the Garvey movement, people say, well, we had our families. Most black women was married. Most black men was married. We still had our vagrants and our delinquents, but largely we were a self-respecting, upstanding, self-employed community. We had our own business. We had our own moral fabric, our culture, and now look at us now. We do whatever we want. We come out the house half dressed. We don't respect the women. We don't respect the men. We don't respect the children. But a lot of this is the result of economic desperation. The black man had a family because he was able to provide for a family. Today, the black man has no family because he cannot provide for the family. Back then, black women, a lot of them may have had a little bit more dignity because they had a lot more going for themselves back then. Black youth were a lot more focused because we had more programs and opportunities for them. The political economic structure of the black community has been ripped out. And this began in the 70s. It intensified in the 80s with the war against black men, falsely called the war on drugs, okay, which took all the economic opportunity out the black community. If we go back in time, a lot of our grandparents were able to work in the neighborhoods where they live. A lot of our grandparents didn't have to go to college. My grandfather was a butcher. Him and my grandmom, they live in an excellent home, okay, grandmom-in-law, okay, his wife, they live in a nice home, okay, live comfortably. We know a lot of African Americans who are elders in their late 60s going up until their 80s who were able to make a decent living as a laborer with no college. But in the 70s, they said, okay, we have to do something about this because black people are amassing enough wealth to compete with white folk. They're taking over the jobs. So what are we going to do? I know what we're going to do. We're going to deindustrialize the inner city. Remember, black people came up to the north during the Great Migration to take jobs while the white men went to war. Okay, we weren't allowed to fight in World War I, but they did allow us in World War II. So we came to New York. We came to Philadelphia for work during the war. Well, when the war was over and white men came back, guess what? The black folk got laid off. But a lot of us went into business as plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and we were able to take care of ourselves by looking out for the needs of other black families. So what did they do? Deindustrialize the inner city high schools, take out the trade programs. You can hardly find a high school now that teaches you to be a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter. It's all gone. To do what? Make sure black men can't feed their families. Make sure black women can't feed their families. And then they started sending everybody to college, which produces nothing but debt because most black folks with master's and doctorate degrees can't find a job. So you ain't got no skill to eat. You got a college degree, but you can't find a job because most of the degrees we get in college are only useful if there's white people hiring you. Okay, my doctorate degree, there's no black folk looking to hire a PhD psychologist. So most of our college degrees are dependent on being hired by the American economic system, you see. And so basically they brought the drugs in. You got all these unemployed black men. No economy. CIA brings the drugs in. We got an economy. Crack. So black men started selling the only thing that was available to bring in income, and that was drugs. But if you look at it through a moral lens, oh, he's wrong. How can he sell drugs? Yes, it's wrong, but he's doing it out of a necessity. And if you're not going to give him an opportunity to do anything else, it will continue. Who were the original criminals in America? Who were the original drug dealers? The alcohol, selling the booze, the gangs, Jewish immigrants, Italian immigrants, Irish immigrants. They were the ones breaking the laws. They were the ones running the rackets, the numbers, the drugs, because they were not considered to be white folk until the 1940s. But in the 1940s, the United States government decided to make Southern European immigrants white folk. They gave them the police department, the fire department, the civil service jobs downtown. And as a result of that, they moved up. That was their economic stimulus package. Black people never got an economic stimulus package. All we did was take over the underworld that was formerly controlled by the Southern European immigrants. Crime is not a function of genetics. Crime is not a function of race. Crime is a function of the economic order and lack of opportunity. When jobs are plentiful, crime goes down. When jobs are not plentiful, crime goes up. Everybody knows this. But whenever we talk about unemployment and crime with black men, no one draws the connection between miseducation, unemployment, economic castration, and incarceration. They just want everybody to think that they're born to commit crime, all they want to do is kill, because they don't want to solve the problem.